We're back. And by we, I mean the royal we. I'm back. I've put the laptop down. I've put my feet up. I'm reclining. I'm setting the scene right now, so I'm doing. This is the point where someone would usually interrupt me and say, what are you talking about? But I don't answer anyone this week. She's taken the kids. Like, I think we need to have an honest conversation, you know, like from podcast to friends of the show. Like, she's taken the kids proverbially. And by the kids, I mean the high definition camera. So I'm just in a room. You're not going to see this room, but it's got 4 walls. It's got a ceiling. One of them is a feature wall that's been painted a kind of bluey green. You know, you can kind of imagine what shade of blue I'd probably pick. Go figure. And am I just going to talk to myself for a bit? Yeah, no, but you're going to listen. You're with me. In fact, you actually ask me questions, because if there's one thing that's true in this modern world, right? Kids these days, myself included, incapable of independent thought, right? What am I going to do? Sit here and be like, man, why do mascots keep cheating in the mascot race, guys? Which I have, you know, understandably rattled by. Like, bring back a bit of grace, bring back a bit of decorum. But really, like, you know, that's lame. And then it is just like therapy, but like actual therapy, where I would be sitting on the sofa and they'd be like, oh, and how does that make you feel? But it would just be my own thoughts. They'd be reflected back at me. Instead, we have questions. I'm still going to say we, because I've established royal we. There are questions that need to be answered, and they're big ones. I mean, the first one is, hey, if you had to be a type of pasta, what pasta would you be? It's a great question. I love pasta. Hey, shout out to pasta. If any pasta makers want to sponsor the show, hey, you know where to find us. Process of elimination here, right? I'm not going to be a spaghetti. I'm not going to be a tagliatelle. I'm not a long and stringy pasta. That's not my bag. That's not me. It would be inauthentic to put that tag on myself. Equally, I'm not one of those nonsense pastas like orzo. We get it, bro. Oh, look, I'm a pasta. But I'm kind of like rice. We get it. We see you. Orzo may be the most like performative male pasta there is out there. I think I'm alphabetti spaghetti, right? Because it's saying a lot. There are a lot of words coming out of it. Sometimes some people pour out alphabetti spaghetti and they're like, this is genius. Sometimes you pour out alphabetti spaghetti and it's gibberish. I'll let you decide which one we're talking. Thoughts on Surrey's batting today? Think they'd be better off with Dan and Clara? Well, that's interesting, because I think if they had Dan and Clara, they'd actually lose a wicket from being timed out, because one of them wouldn't show up. One of them wouldn't be there. It wouldn't be me. But also, this is a cracking match. Like, we're in the middle of a proper like title decider. Literally in the middle. It's Tuesday, which is crazily enough halfway through a 4-day match. I don't really enjoy this sense of jeopardy. My hot take is that, like, I don't think Surrey have been as wow this year as they've been in previous years. It's also not a hot take, is it? They can't buy a win away from the Oval. And originally they blamed it on flat pitches. I think the bowling has just lacked incisiveness. Hey, only the hottest stuff come from me today. Whoa, cricket talk. Careful. If you had to pick a single person other than Clara to do the podcast with, who and why? Well, first of all, I'm going to make this clear. If people's legal teams are listening, I'm not here trying to pick another podcast co-host. No one's being ousted. No one is being frozen out. This is a one night only special. But if I was picking, I feel it's going to have to be like one of 3 people. So like maybe the Rizzler. I mean, we only, in the lore of the You're On Screen Now Extended Universe, established who the Rizzler was about a week ago. Man, what a time that was. Hey, shout out to Vine. But he'd do numbers. That podcast of him being like, there are gloves in my pocket. Like, peak OJ Simpson. Superb. OJ Simpson, by the way, definitely not on that list, to clarify. He is dead. But like, if he wasn't, he also wouldn't be on my list. I digress. Name a woman, Dan. Sorry. I just have intrusive thoughts now, which what Clara would say to me. She'd be like, name a woman. So I'm going to name a woman. See, it's hard because now, like, obviously Ruth Bader Ginsburg is no longer with us. And she was like top one ever Name a Woman picks, you know, or Queen Elizabeth. Though I don't really think either of them would have really rocked with like a cricket culture podcast. So I think it's got to be like Greta Thunberg, because we've established we're a woke podcast, and I feel like she'd at least get that. So like one of those two crazy kids. Why is Rory Burns? That's a good question. Why is Rory Burns? It's not how is Rory Burns. It's not what is Rory Burns. Why is Rory Burns? I mean, maybe he forgot to put sun cream on. You get it? Why is Rory Burns? Because he forgot to put his sun cream on. Duh. Which player do you wish you could have watched live in their prime? The answer to that, my dear amigo, is AB de Villiers. AB de Villiers. Specifically, pink kit, AB de Villiers. You cannot imagine I can't because I wasn't, what it would have been like to see that live and in the flesh. Runner up for that is also KP. Look, we've established in this podcast, we're not endorsing KP post playing career in terms of like his takes. Though actually the next question is Mount Rushmore of cricket pundits, commentators. So obviously, you know, KP's up there. No, more seriously, Nasser Hussain, top one for me. Apart from an inability to understand what's been hit for six and what's been caught, just the GOAT. Ian Bishop as well. I have a theory that feels like basically all of Josh Butler's best white ball scores have come with Ian Bishop on comms. So I kind of associate the two together. I'm immediately taken back and it's like, whoa, it's 2022 again. I'm still young and I still have enthusiasm. I still have optimism. Are Ian Bishop's on comms? Joss Sentry. KP is not on my Mount Rushmore. Though I would say, I think with KP comms, there's a certain genre of commentator you have to sound like you're not listening to them for actual analysis. You want them to kind of get agitated and worked up, and you have to view it through a strangely, occasionally bizarre comedic lens, right? Flashing back. Who remembers when he was doing comms on an English summer many moons ago and Tom Banton was playing? And he just started going wild for about 5 minutes saying that Tom Banton hits the ball in the air too much and he should just hit fours because you can't get out hitting fours, apparently. I would, from personal experience, vaguely disagree with saying you can't get out trying to pick gaps. But then what I loved is basically every other time I've heard him on comms, he's like, why aren't players hitting more sixes? They need to be braver. So like, Tom Banton, bro, I'm sorry that it had to be you, but it did. Well, that's Nas. That's Ian Bishop. Who else do I enjoy hearing in my ears? Real talk, I think Ebbs is up there just for the Alex Hales Gooly Woolly Woolies line. I think that's like top 5 comms moments ever. So she's secured her spot there. Maybe KP does make, but wouldn't that be lively? You know, you got to have a wild card in there. Please, you know. I mean, back in, you know, the original, like, are they waffling or are they about to say something profound was obviously the late and great Warney. I always enjoyed a Warney comment show because like there was a lot of nonsense in there. And bear in mind, this is the man who on Twitter gave us tee off, but not recklessly. But then like there would be a part-time leg spinner bowling and you would suddenly hear the most profound, insightful commentary lines ever. And then he'd go back to talking about breakfast. Just get you a guy who can do both. Is cricket the wokest sport? Oh, no. I'll tell you why. Because you still see headlines being like, England have picked this guy because he's 6'5". And that's anti-woke. That's stick it to the big man and, you know, see what he does. And if cricket still does that, then it's not woke. Although, you know, win fizz, oh, that's woke. Very theoretical. Why do you like cricket? I think that's an amazing question. I think there's so many different reasons for it. Number one, as a spectacle, I think there's something quite visceral about it as a sport. People bowling fast and people hitting a ball a long way, often happening in conjunction with each other, is incredibly cool because you can't quite believe your eyes. There is something happening so fast, your eyes can barely pick the ball up, but there are some people who are seeing it, or rather interpreting it so well that they can launch that 100 meters. That's wild. I think cricket as a game, I'm a big fan of the fact there are multiple formats. There are some people who spend way too much time saying, I only like this format, or this format is better than this format is better than this format is worse than this format. I really enjoy that at different times of the year, I get to watch completely different things with roughly the same players and, you know, the same set of rules. It's the same sport, but it scratches an itch in a way that other things don't. Maybe that's actually the secret. Maybe that's as much as I adore football. Maybe we should just like make and play five-a-side every now and then. I think that would be great. I also think cricket's an amazing day out to be deadly sentimental. I spend a lot of time at the cricket with my dear family and my dear friends. And it's a great sport because it's not like you're watching the 100-meter sprint, right? It's like, well, I need to lock in for all 10 seconds of this. You can kind of drift off a bit. It's why I think, right, people say, oh, T20 cricket's for like Subway Surfer kids. Wrong. If you leave the room in a T20, you are actually going to miss a significant portion of the match. If you leave the room during a test match, if you go and get a drink at a test match and you're gone for an hour, buddy, you might just be okay. I promise you, you're going to understand what's going on still. Least favourite mascot. Look, all mascots are created equal until they become disgusting, long-necked cheats. No comment. No, I love all mascots. Do you know what I do think, though, is a bit cheeky in the modern game? In the modern game, multi-mascots in the mascot race, because my views are every team should either have, as many of them do, they should all have two mascots. Conventionally now it's a male mascot and a female mascot. Or they should all just field one mascot. This nonsense of some teams double dipping to try and get their win, crazy. Not for me. Not for me. Which current England player will be the best commentator and who will be England coach? I genuinely think Crawley would be a cracking commentator based on any time you actually hear an interview with him and he starts kind of doing his like, he's kind of smirking and he's saying stuff that it feels like it's vaguely a joke, but he delivers it pretty well. And I could see that working very well on TV. I think he would translate fantastically to that. And guys, I don't know if you know this, but he's really tall. He's so tall. Who will be England coach? Let's think. Well, I mean, England aren't right now a super like give it to an ex-player kind of system. The closest who I think is in striking distance, right, is dear Freddie Flintoff. But looking at the current team, I don't really see any of them as being like, oh yeah, they'll coach England. I think Joe Root has a few like batting coach tours in him where they'll talk about how great it is to pick his brains, which mainly will just kind of like him getting to wear shorts everywhere. Kevin Peterson pop star or Taylor Swift batter? Good question. Good question. See, I've never heard him sing, funny enough. Like last time I was hanging out with him, like I don't think we went to karaoke. T Swizzy, I think she's got pretty long levers. That counts for a lot. She's got long levers. The Eras Tour has shown her ability to, number one, build an innings, but number two, to sustain energy throughout an innings. So I'm going Taylor Swift batter. Who would be the main spinner in the England lineup for you? Now, isn't that the question we're all asking? I mean, to break it to you, it's going to be Shoaib Bashir. But who would be the main spinner in the England lineup for you? I mean, I'm post-spin. I don't believe in spin. It's a lie. Spin's not real, guys. We don't need a spinner. That's just Surrey County Cricket Club have worn me down over the years. But no, guys, Dan Lawrence can do a very good job. Maybe that's the answer, right? You just literally play Dan Lawrence at 8 for England, and you're like, hey, just rag it about, man. A boy can dream. How much are you absolutely hating life without Clara out of 10? And why is it 13? That has come from Clara Sublitsky. So, hey, look. It's good to know that she's still supporting the show, even when she can't actually be here. Because she, clearly just like chose not to be here. That's obviously what happened. It's not just that she's like literally not physically present at all. Because that would be nuts. Hating life? That's pretty sure. Hey, to clarify, guys, you should never be hating life. You should never be hating life. Life's good. Life is a gift, guys. Life is a great thing. And yeah, do you know what? I'll say it, guys, for the record. I do miss my friend. Wow, that felt good to say, but it's okay. It's okay, because I can say with confidence we will have no shortage of quality time together in the coming weeks and months until I depart the country. In which case, hey, you might get one of these with her. Wouldn't that be crazy? Can you rate Jacob Bethel based on how good you think he'd be at tennis out of 10 for me, please? I think Jacob Bethel would be a clay specialist. I think he'd have a bag of tricks. I spent the last week in Croatia working at the Davis Cup, and they'd built a strange temporary clay court in a gymnasium, which was kind of cool. And I was watching Corentin Moutet, and he was, he's not the biggest or strongest, though actually Jacob Bethel is really strong. He's not the biggest, but he can do things with that ball. He can manipulate it. He can do pretty tricky things. And I look at Bethel and I'm like, I think you'd be that guy. Look, like, you don't have the release point per se on the grass court to dominate. But I think seeing him go back and forth, kind of playing his shots on clay, I think he maybe could get a slam in him. I don't think he could get a slam on grass. But how would Jacob Bethel play on hard court? It's a really good question. See, I think he moves well. I think latter stages, but I don't see him beating your heavier hitters. That's just my take. But I think Jacob Bethel will be good at tennis. I think tennis from this sport, a lot of cricketers have played. Because, hey, I don't know if you've seen this, but like when they roll their wrists, it's actually like a forehand. That's crazy. That's mind-blowing. Those are all the questions that we've got for this week. Little bonus app. I have to say on that, I'm going to talk to you guys because I feel like it's good to say this. Like, being out of the country for finals day was kind of weird. There I was, still watching it. Maybe, that's a good question. Was anyone else in Croatia or the city of Osijek watching Vitality Blast finals day? To the latter, I would confidently say no. To the former, hey, if anyone's watching or listening to this from Croatia and they were watching finals day, then I no longer feel special. And I think that's a shame. I like feeling special, don't we all? But it had to be them. It had to be them, didn't it? I think for me, Hampshire Somerset finals. Man, the only hate watch going on would have been if someone was watching me watch that game and just watching me think, well, it's going to the South group, but it's going to the two teams in the South group where I'm like, them. Northants, you were supposed to be the guys. How am I going to have to watch Northants crash it on Surrey at the Kia and then them show up at finals then be like, guys, we do not have the capacity. It's sad. But it was a Ravi Bopara century, so it was not for nothing. I'm off to Ireland tomorrow. That's crazy. Whoa. Dublin, that's what the score will be doing after England have batted for 10 overs. No, but seriously, actually, sometimes they can double the score in fewer than 10 overs. It's nuts. It's called acceleration. They sold me dreams, though. The fact they got 300 the other day means I know I'm going to go and see the most tame England batting performance to ever enter Malahide. Going back to I was going to say spiritual homeland. It literally just is my actual ancestral plane, Ireland. You can tell by my thick Irish undertones, my orange hair and my pale complexion that I am a man of the Emerald Isle. Very cool. Hey, if you're listening to this, I'll be there. If you're listening on Wednesday. If you don't listen on the day it comes out, that's cool. So no hard feelings. It's kind of crazy, like you're missing out. But I mean, you wouldn't know because you're not listening to this. It's kind of hard wrapping this up when there's not someone else being like, yo, the camera's actually stopped recording, so you might as well wrap this up. So like, I think it's a bit where Clara would start singing like Spandau Ballet. I can't really do that. There's good reverb in this room though. Like, man, this would be a crazy studio. So when we do what all internet people do and we're like, guys, music's actually my passion, maybe we'll be in here. Until then, hey, it's been real, guys. It's been so real.